Le di a iniciar, nada más falta que... Ahí.
Okay. Hi, we are going to present our scientific experiment based on the scientific method. First, to choose our experiment, we have to do a background research. And we search about what are cupcakes. Cupcakes are small, tasty snack cakes that are favored for their portability and control. They are butter cakes baked in a cup-shaped foil or temperature-resistant paper. A standard cupcake uses the same basic ingredients as standard-sized cakes: butter, sugar, eggs, and flour. But with these portions: 1 cup of butter, 2 cups of sugar, 3 cups of flour, and 4 eggs. The result is a plain yellow cake mix, which can then be spooned out into cupcakes. Nearly any recipe that is suitable for a layered cake can be used to bake cupcakes. To make them more interesting, other ingredients are often stirred in, such as raisins and chocolate chips. Baking powder. At first, the recipes of cakes and cupcakes did not use baking powder, because it was until 1856 the chemist Eben Norton Horsford patented the first modern baking powder. Such powder is the one that is still used today. Baking powder increases the volume and lightens the texture of baked goods. It's a dry leavening agent made from a mixture of carbonate and bicarbonate, a weak acid, and a filler. When combined with liquid, the baking powder creates an acid-base reaction, which releases carbon dioxide gas into the batter or dough. This causes bubbles, making the wet mixture expand and rise.
Will the amount of baking powder affect the height of the cupcake? Introduction. In this experiment, we're going to work on a simple recipe of cupcakes, but we will try to see the difference of using different amounts of baking powder. To do so, we will use the same recipe 5 times, only changing the amount of baking powder in each one. Doing so, when the cupcakes are ready, we will measure the height of each cupcake made with the different amounts of baking powder. To know how does the baking powder affect the recipe and the cupcakes.
As our hypothesis, we have that if we add a bigger amount of baking powder to the recipe, then the cupcake is going to be higher. As our control group, we have a cupcake without baking powder. An experimental group, we had cupcakes, each one with different amount of baking powder. Controlled variables are eggs, milk, butter, flour, sugar, vanilla, temperature of the oven, and cooking time. As our independent variable, we have the amount of baking powder used, and our dependent variable is the height of the cupcake.
Materials: 1 cup of white sugar, a half cup of butter, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, a half cup of milk, baking powder, a muffin pan, paper liners, a ruler, and toothpicks. Procedure. Step 1. We preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 175 degrees centigrade. Step 2. We line a muffin pan with paper lines, capacillos. Step 3. In a bowl, we cream together the sugar and the butter. Step 4, we beat in the eggs one at a time. Step 5, we stir in the vanilla. Step 6, we combine the flour and the baking powder. Step 7, we added the flour with the baking powder to the cream mixture and mix well. Step 8, we stir in the milk until the butter is smooth. Step 9, we put out the batter into the prepared pan. Step 10, we bake the cupcakes for 25 minutes. Step 12, finally, after the 25 minutes passed, we take the cupcakes out of the oven and let them cool down. Each member of the team make the same recipe and the steps. The only thing that changed was the amount of baking powder. In this case, Emmanuel made the recipe without the baking powder. Marisela used a half teaspoon. Yael used 1 teaspoon. Alexandra used 1.5 teaspoons, and Emilio used 2 teaspoons.
Results. We put toothpicks in the middle of the cupcakes and made a mark on them in order to identify where is the highest point of the cupcake. Then, with the ruler, we measure from when the toothpicks start to the mark we made previously. The results were the following. Without baking powder, the height will be 2.2 centimeters. With half a teaspoon, 2.5 centimeters. With a teaspoon, 3.5 centimeters. With 1.5 teaspoons, 4 centimeters. And with 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 4.5 centimeters. This considering that 1 teaspoon equals 4 grams of baking powder. The conclusion. We can see from the results we obtained that the height of the cupcakes varies depending on the amount of baking powder used. More specifically, the height of the cupcakes increased as the amount of baking powder increased. With this, we can say that our hypothesis was indeed correct, and we can establish that the more baking powder we use, the higher the cupcake gets. These are our references, and we are going to present the evidence of the experiment. Yael Guerrero's evidence, Marisela Mars' evidence, Emilio Preciado's evidence, Alexandra Carvajalino evidence, and Emanuela Espinosa's evidence. Thank you.